Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. Our teacher this week is Michael Beckwith, and his thought that leads us into meditation today is that it's an inside job, that it always is an inside job, that learning to be okay, no matter what the external circumstances are, is always an inside job. Somebody, good morning. It is awesome seeing you. Right, let's get into some thoughts for our meditation today. The world around us is in a constant state of change. And if our being happy is dependent on our outside circumstances, then it is likely that we'll never actually be happy. If happiness is something that is waiting for you around some distant corner somewhere in the future when finally things come together for you, and I want you to know this, that happiness will always be elusive, then perhaps, if that's the case for you, you'll never find happiness. Anthony, good morning. It is awesome seeing you, man. Right, here are a couple of thoughts from Michael Beckwith that connects to this idea. He says, authentic happiness comes from being in conscious connection with our inner being, rather than dependency on outer things and circumstances which are constantly in a state of flux. He says, stop the mental chatter about what's wrong and what's not complete. There is a presence of love that is seeking to express itself through you. And his last thought says, if the grass is greener somewhere else, start watering your own lawn. There's a saying that goes that happiness is not having what you want. Having what you want doesn't bring happiness and I remember having this kind of conversation with my very young son at the time. We'd often get to this point where he'd say he'd want something, this one thing, and his words would be, if I can just have this one thing, I'll be happy forever. And obviously, that would spark a bit of a conversation along these lines, that it's so easy to see that when we get that thing that we think will make us happy, the happiness it comes from, it doesn't really last. Clearly, attaining things or arranging the outside world in a way that pleases us doesn't bring lasting happiness. So back to that thought. The thought is, happiness is not having what you want. Happiness is when you want what you have. When you can look around at what you already have and say, I want this. That is where happiness comes from. Charlene, a very good morning. It is so good to see you. So, Michael Beckwith's last thought here was that if the grass is greener somewhere else, start watering your own lawn. And I think in this context, watering your own lawn means look inwards and find your connection to your own soul. It is your connection to your own being that brings happiness. It is an inside job, learning to be okay no matter what external circumstances we are facing. Let your inner being be your grounding and your guidance. So if you're ready, let's slip away into today's meditation journey. We're doing I Am the Mountain, which is reaching for that inner connection no matter what the outer circumstances are. If you're ready, you can close your eyes and let's float away, starting with the first few big breaths. Let's take a deep breath in and out. A deep breath in and out. A deep inhale and let it go. Deep breath in and out. One more big breath in and let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly, and as you fill up your belly with air, also raise yourself up. As you breathe in, stretch out your spine, lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. And once you've reached your full height, let all of it go. And as you exhale, soften. As you breathe out, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders, and drop your head. While you continue your full body breathing, just imagine for a moment the presence of a mountain. We all have an idea what that feels like when we find ourselves in the presence of a mountain. It is quite tangible almost. We can feel the presence in the air. Imagine being this mountain. Having the ability to see across the ages. Having seen it all come and also seen most of it go. Can you imagine all the change that have happened around your mountain? Can you see the humans scurrying around like ants, very busy with their very important business? If you were this mountain with the ability to see across the ages, would you have a deeper sense of what is really important and what is just not? And then, of course, I want to remind you that your soul, your being, has this presence of a mountain. Your soul has no shelf life and has equally seen it all come and seen most of it go. Let your soul be your grounding. We have the last few breaths of this phase to do together, and in so doing, helping our bodies stretch, adjust, and settle down into as much comfort as possible for the rest of our journey. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward and roll out your neck muscles, going forward and to the left, and also forward and to the right. Take a deep breath in. And as you release, roll your shoulders forward in big, slow circles. Take a deep breath in. And as you release, roll your shoulders backwards in big, slow circles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, focus on your spine. You can lean your upper body to the left and lean your upper body over to the right. And one more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch or move or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having softened our bodies into a state of presence, as much as we are able to at least, we can now turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. With every next inhale, we'll hold our breath for a few short moments, followed by a really long and slow exhale. If you don't have the time to sit for the whole meditation with us, then this is a very good place to stop. But if you are here for the whole journey, we'll take the next few big breaths together. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make it the longest, slowest exhale that you can. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel into your body. And feel how softness settles in every part of your body. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow through your body. Feel your shoulders slowly falling. Feel your body slowly softening. And feel how you are slowly slipping deeper into you. One more big breath in. And hold. And as you release, feel yourself melting. Feel your whole body dissolving. Feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose is an invitation. It invites you to turn inwards and follow this journey. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way in. Hold your breath, but hold it only for as long as it feels easy, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, return to the picture of your mountain. Take a look at your mountain from top to bottom. Take your next big breath. I'd love you to be as open and as playful with this experience as possible. I'm going to ask you to create as vivid imagery as you can about this mountain and what lives on this mountain. And the more you lean into the imagination that creates the picture of your mountain, the lower your brain waves go. It's like normally in order to dream, you have to be asleep and then see imagery that comes from your imagination. Likewise, when you step into a conscious visualization, your brain waves lower and get closer to that space of dream. All this means that if you can lean in to the visualization, you're also leaning in to your subconscious. You're allowing your subconscious to become open and receptive to the work you're doing right now. So with your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, zoom out from your mountain, fly around your mountain, look at it from top to bottom and see how much vegetation is on your mountain, how much of it is rocky, and how much of it is covered in plants. Lean into the imagination. Take your next big breath. So we're zooming in to the plants on your mountain. And I want you to find any one plant particularly and zoom into some detail of this plant. Could be a leaf, could be a flower. But as you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, how much detail of this leaf or this flower are you able to find right now? Take your next big breath. And then we'll turn our attention to the animals of your mountain. Find one in particular and zoom in. Zoom all the way into its hair. How much detail can you discover in the hair of this animal right now. Take your next big breath. And then we'll switch to the birds of your mountain. Find one bird specifically and zoom all the way in. Could you see all the way to the level of one feather? And how much detail can you create in your mind of this one feather right now? Take your next big breath. Take your seat as this mountain once again. Embody this presence. What does your mountain feel like sitting in the sunlight, holding all of this life? What does your mountain feel like? Get into that sense of presence. Take your next big breath. And then when the clouds roll in, and there's no more sunlight on the mountain, and it starts to rain, would this be the first time ever that your mountain experiences rain? Or is this the millionth day that your mountain experiences sitting in the rain? How does this mountain feel about the change in weather? How does this mountain feel about drops accumulating on its surface, turning into streams and rivulets? Take your next big breath. And then when the sun goes down and the wind picks up and rain turns into a storm, the face of your mountain is lashed by wind and water. It is a loud night. Thunder and lightning all around. Pitch black darkness and noise, with the occasional strike of lightning, adding noise and light for a moment. How does your mountain feel about this constant change in the environment? Always something different. Is it the first storm your mountain experiences, or just another one of many? How does your mountain feel about sitting in the middle of a storm? Take your next big breath. Surely your mountain knows that no storm lasts forever. A new day breaks again. The air is clear and crisp as the first rays of sunlight touches the face of your mountain. How does your mountain feel about being greeted with this fresh new day? Take your next big breath. We'll take just one more big breath together to slip out of the breath holding space and into the next. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can sit all the way back or even lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. The world around us is in a constant state of change. And if our being happy is dependent upon these outer circumstances going our way, then it is likely that we'll never actually be happy. Michael Beckwith speaks about it this way. He says, authentic happiness comes from being in conscious connection with our inner being, rather than dependency on outer things and circumstances which are constantly in a state of flux. He says, stop the mental chatter about what's wrong and what's not complete. There is a presence of love that is seeking to express itself through you. And that if the grass is greener somewhere else, perhaps start watering your own lawn. Your soul, your inner being, is what is represented by this mountain. The environment around us will always be in a constant state of change. If us being okay is dependent on the environment around us lining up for us, then we will struggle to be okay. Look inwards, turn inwards and touch the being within you. Let the being be your grounding. Let your soul be your guidance. And when you experience the hard days, remind yourself that this is weather passing. When you experience your own sense of darkness, remind yourself that weather comes and goes. This is not the mountain, but the weather. And when you're dealing with the humans around you showing up as not the best versions of themselves, you look at them and see their weather. Could you remind yourself that this weather you see will pass, and that it's important to remember there's a mountain beneath that weather. Let your inner being be your grounding and your guidance. Get in touch with this mountain within you. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say yours. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for discovering the mountain in me. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for the reminder of my weather. That some days I don't feel so connected to the mountain because I got caught up in the weather. Being reminded that the weather always passes. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for the reminder to notice the weather and the humans around me, but recognize the mountain. The weather always passes. The mountain stays. Take a deep breath in. you for learning that we can get stuck in the weather. When I look at another human being and I insist on focusing on their weather, I can be the cause of their stuckness in their weather. I can contribute to keeping them stuck in their weather because I insist on responding to the weather. Thank you for learning that the best way of helping someone get unstuck from their weather is to recognize the mountain and respond to their mountain more than their weather. One more big breath in. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you for bringing your mountain into our circle of mountains. Please try to remember, for yourself and for the humans around you, to not get too stuck and caught up in the weather. If we respond to people's weather, react to the weather, then we tend to perpetuate more of that weather, and it lingers longer. But when we get really good at responding to the mountain, even though there's weather, we help ground someone in their being. Good morning, Nella. Good morning, Maggie. Good morning, Pat. Thank you, Charlene. Gather all of these wild, scattered horses. I love the comment. Thank you, somebody. Thank you, Anthony. Have a beautiful day. Don't forget to sit on your mountain for a moment every day. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.